Very good evening to everybody present here. I am Roshita Shetty, and I am presenting on the topic foreign marriages and its regulation. So, before looking into what exactly a foreign marriage is, let us understand what exactly marriage is, the legal aspect of marriage. So, marriage is a holy institution. Marriage is a social institution. It is merely a union of two individuals. It is legally and socially sanctioned. It is regulated by various laws, rules, custom, beliefs, and attitudes that prescribe the rights and duties of partners and accord status to their offsprings. So, this is the legal aspect of marriage. Let us see in Indian society or Hindu society what marriage is. So, in Indian society or Hindu society, marriage is a matter of great pride to the family, and also marriage is celebrated as a festival in India. We have many rituals pre and post marriage. So this is how Indian society views marriage as an institution. But when we see the constitutional aspect of marriage, when we see marriage as a right, so right to marry is part of right to life under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Also, it has been stated in the Human Rights Charter within the meaning of right to start a family. So the most important or landmark case is Shafin Jahan versus KM Ashokan, which is known as the Hadia case. So why it is called as the Hadia case? So this case is believed to be one of the most important, and everybody in his lifetime, it is suggested to read this case and know at least the facts of this case. So the judgment given by Justice D.Y. Chandrachud in this case has proven to be very important and one of the best judgments ever given. So let me tell you the facts of this case. So there was a girl called Akhila, and you might wonder why the case name is more famously known as Hadia. So Akhila is the name of a girl. She was a Hindu girl and she was a normal girl who was studying medical science. So she was doing her internship in Salem, and one day her father got a call that her daughter Akhila, his daughter Akhila, is attending classes wearing a burqa. And she was from a Hindu family. So her father was quite depressed and he was confused as to why her daughter did this. So later he came to know that she was converted to Muslim community and she married a guy called Shafin Jahan. So Akhila's father filed a case in the Kerala High Court that his daughter was forcefully converted to Muslim community and she was very innocent and she wasn't, it was against her will. But Shafin Jahan, so the case was filed against Shafin Jahan in the Kerala High Court. So surprisingly, Kerala High Court gave the judgment that though Akhila was 24 years old, the Kerala High Court told that she is very weak and she is very vigilant and she can be exploited in many ways. So the marriage was declared as a void marriage and the marriage was asked to be dissolved. But Shafin Jahan did not stop there. He knew that their love was not fake, it was true love, and it was not for the sake of conversion. So he challenged the High Court and he appealed and he approached the Supreme Court. So in Supreme Court, D.Y. Chandrachud has given a very beautiful judgment. He said that right to marry a person of one's choice is integral part to Article 21 of the Constitution, and society has no role to play in determining our choice of partners. So the High Court also told that parental love cannot override the right of any adult to choose who one wishes to marry. So, irrespective of what his caste is or what his religion is, it is our right, a right of every individual to choose our life partner. So, this is one of the most important case relating to right to marriage. So now we have understood what marriage is. Now we'll know what is foreign marriage. So the picture itself will tell you in brief what foreign marriage is. So a marriage in which at least one of the party is Indian or both the parties are Indians staying abroad. So this marriage has its own aims and objectives. So if you want to understand more easily what foreign marriage is, I would like to give the example of Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas. also Rajiv Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, and also the recent couple who got married, that is Vicky Kaushal and Katrina Kaif. These all are examples of foreign marriages. So let us know how did the foreign marriage emerge? So before a century or before that, almost a century ago, we had this saying in India that crossing the sea is a sin. It was in Sanskrit called as Samudra Ullanghan. So we saw that many families did not encourage their kids or children to cross the sea. But later or now, if we see, I think we have the exact opposite scenario. Parents now take a lot of pride in saying that their son or daughter stays abroad, works there. So how did foreign marriages and how did this influence come? That is influence of Western life. When liberalization, globalization and privatization started, we saw many Indians who went abroad for various purposes, be it for studies, be it for their business or for seeking job and various other reasons. So we saw that the concept of NRI started, which is the non-resident of India concept of NRI started, and many of the NRIs thought like first when they shifted abroad, it was a temporary stay for them, but later in order to enjoy the benefits of that country, they took the citizenship of that particular country, and also believe that it is good to marry a women of that country itself. So that is how foreign marriages emerged in India. So, well, let us see the Foreign Marriage Act. So, why did the Foreign Marriage Act actually come into picture? So, when many NRI started marrying Indians, we saw that there was no particular law for them, because Hindu law was for two Hindus, Indian Hindus marrying. There was the Indian Marriage Act for the Christians, and even the Muslims had an act. And also the Special Marriage Act was into existence in 1954, but that was for interfaith or interreligion marriages within India. But for a non-resident of India marrying an Indian, there was no such law, and they faced a lot of problems. And because there was no certain platform or an act which could ensure a smooth solemnization of marriage. So Foreign Marriage Act 1969 came as a solution for all these problems. What it did is it merged the Indian marriage laws with the foreign marriage laws and provided a common platform for the NRIs to solemnize their marriage. So let us look into the act. So what is the procedure to be followed for the solemnization or registration of marriage? So section 4 is the conditions for a valid marriage. So for a marriage to be solemnized, there are certain conditions. So the meaning itself, what I've told, is the first condition that either of them should be Indian, or both of them can be both of them can be Indian who is staying in a foreign country. So next condition is regarding the age. The bride and the bridegroom both should have completed the age of 21 years. Neither of them should be a lunatic or an idiot. That is, they should have a stable mental health condition at the time of marriage. Neither of them should have a spouse living. That is, they should not have a history of marriage in the past. They should give a statement stating that they are single at the time of marriage. And the last condition is that they should not come under the degree of prohibited relationship. So prohibited relationship is marrying your own blood relation, be it your mother, your sister, or your grandmother. So this is the condition that they should not be related to each other. They should not be blood relatives. They should not come under the prohibited relationship. But if there is any certain custom or a tradition in their caste which allows them to marry their own blood relation, then that will be welcomed and the marriage will be solemnized. Next is, if the conditions mentioned in section 4 is valid and all are fulfilled, then section 5 we have notice of the marriage. So after all the conditions are fulfilled, the next step is that the bride and the bridegroom both have to fill a form of which is mentioned in the schedule 1. They have to fill that form, and in that form they have to ensure that at least one of the person among them have stayed in India for not less than 30 days. They have to ensure that, and that form is to be given to the marriage officer. Who is a marriage officer? So we see that the Indian government has appointed a marriage officer in each district, and he plays a very pivotal role in solemnization of marriage. He has the whole burden of looking after that the marriage is solemnized in a legal way. So he is the main officer who will be solemnizing the marriage, before whom the marriage is solemnized. So he will take such notices given by the bride and the bridegroom, and that will be kept in a book which is called marriage notice book. It will have all such notices given by both the parties, and this marriage notices are to be displayed in the notice book, in the notice board, and any person can inspect this. Any normal person, even you and me, can inspect the marriage notice book. It is open at all times for inspection, and for 30 days there is this notice published on the notice board of the marriage registration office. If any person has a objection saying that this marriage contravenes any of the conditions, that this marriage is illegal and it cannot be solemnized, if any person has an objection, within 30 days they can approach the officer, and they can tell that there are certain contraventions or certain illegalities in this marriage, and the marriage officer will look after it. If there is everything, all the notice and all the documents are verified, then the marriage will be solemnized. So what documents do you require for registering your marriage? Birth certificate, address proof, the fees receipt paid, and affidavit stating that both at the time of marriage both the parties are single. This is a very important statement which has to be given by them. And what are, we see a lot of fraudulent marriages when it comes to the case of foreign marriage. So the Indian ministry recently has asked for certain extra documents only from the foreigner. So his visa, which should be of more than 30 days, a valid passport he should have, his employment details if he's working abroad, and his family background. If he is staying in India, he has a family in India, then his residential address in India. And if he was a divorcee, if he had married someone else earlier and he was divorced, then the divorce papers. And if his first wife was dead, then the death certificate of that wife is to be provided to the marriage officer at the time of solemnization of marriage. So what are the problems faced by women in a foreign marriages? So we see that when a Indian woman marries a foreigner, she is subjected to a lot of violence and problems. Let us see what are the problems one by one. So first one is abandonment of wife for various reasons. So the wife is abandoned for various reasons. So the husband just promises that after the marriage he will take her to the his country of domicile, the foreign country, and he just, after marriage, he gives reasons that he might take 1 or 2 months to settle things, and later he will come back and take her to the foreign country. But we see that later he just disappears. He cuts off contact. There are no calls, there are no messages. So this is how Indian woman is subjected to desertion and abandonment in a foreign marriage. Next is domestic violence. So sometimes we see that the wife is harassed, and she is subjected to a lot of physical and well as mental ill treatment, and she is just taken as a commodity or a helper. She is just forced to do domestic work, the household works, and she is not taken good care of. Next is the NRI husband already married. So this is one case which is seen in most of the foreign marriage, which is one of the most problematic thing, that sometimes the NRI marries of Indian only to satisfy his parents. Maybe there are many parents who will want that their son marries an Indian rather than a foreigner. So just because of their force, or just because to satisfy or for their happiness, he just marries someone he doesn't want to marry or he doesn't love. And later it is the fact is revealed that he was already married, he had a wife there, and the second wife he marries here from India is just for procurement of children, or for extracting money from her, and also to use her only as a household or domestic helper. Next is continuous demand for dowry. So Indian parents, some Indian parents have this myth in their mind that uh, finding an NRI guy for them, for their daughter, is a very matter of pride. Just because he has a very handsome salary, and he earns a hefty amount, he has a very good job in abroad, and he has many other benefits, and their daughter will be very happy in a foreign country, they do not hesitate when they are demanded for dowry. So for they do not hesitate to give dowry. They think that if their daughter will be happy there, so giving a certain amount will not be a matter of grave importance. So this can be used as a very important weapon by them to extract money from the woman, from the wife, pre and post marriage also. And the reason that she is staying at a far off place from her family, she's staying in a foreign country, she has nobody there who can support her, so she can be easily harassed and she can be forced, and money can be extracted from her in various ways. So there are the main reason is lenient legal system abroad for grounds for divorce. So just have a look at this graph. So analyzing this graph, we see that this graph gives us the amount of divorce that take place annually in UK, US, and India. When we see India, India has a very minimal amount of divorce annually, while the UK and US has a very large amount of divorce cases every year. That is because we see that in UK and US, the divorce laws are very lenient. They have very loose grounds for divorce. Even a small argument in the house could be taken to the court and divorce could be taken, and that is why we see that this is taken as an advantage by the foreigner, that easily the divorce can be given to the wife because there are very loose grounds in that country according to that country's law. So what are the penalties for contravention of the conditions? So first one is punishment for contravention of condition in section 4 of the act. So in the previous slide, I explained to you the section 4, that is the conditions regarding their age, regarding their health, mental health, etc. If any person contravenes the clause 4, he is subjected to simple imprisonment extendable to 15 years or fine or both. Next is punishment for bigamy. So you know what bigamy is. If he later the fact is revealed that this was not his first marriage, he was already married to someone else, and knowing that fact, he married to the Indian wife, to the Indian woman. This could lead to the case of bigamy, and he is subjected to penalties under the section 494 and 495 of the IPC. And punishment for false declaration, or if false antecedents, which is if false documents are given, if false employment details, if any fake birth certificate or fake address is given, and later it is revealed, then he is subjected to imprisonment of up to 3 years or fine or both. So punishment for wrongful action of marriage officer. So we see that in India, we see a lot of corruption in every office. So the marriage officer too sometimes is corrupted, and for a small amount of money, he might just let go of 2 or 3 documents, and he might solemnize the marriage. So if he is held responsible for doing such wrongful action, so he is subjected to imprisonment of up to 1 year or fine or both. So the main drawback I'll tell you of this act is that these penalties I told you is Indian. Only for Indians. If any foreigner is held responsible for any of this crime, then he is not tried in the Indian court. So this is one of the main drawback which have to be looked upon. So recommendations that the Ministry of External Affairs gives to reduce such fraudulent marriages is that verification of antecedents. Antecedents are nothing but documents. So it is advised for the bridegroom's family that they have to look after the marital status of that guy, whether he is married before or he is single, his employment details, maybe his salary sheet, maybe his pay slip can be seen whether he is really earning that salary or he is just bluffing, and his financial status, how financially strong he is, his criminal background, if he has any criminal background, that have to be looked after, his family background. And also it is advised to talk to his family members, his neighbors, if he has a family in India, to understand how really he is and what is his nature, and if he is a genuine person or not. Proper and right registration. So marriage is for lifetime and it happens only once. So it is advised that in the case of marriage, we should not be very emotional. It should not be dealt with emotion rather than intellect. It should be dealt intellectually. So we should not be in a hurry to get married. The foreign marriages, especially, they should not be in a hurry to get married, and they should look for proper and right registration. They should see that all the procedures are correctly followed and all original documents is submitted by the bride, by the bridegroom's family. So precautions by the bride. So what precautions the bride can take is that same thing, she should not deal with it emotionally, she should deal with it intellectually. She should take enough time to understand and know his background and his details, and also they should not be in a hurry to get married. So what is the most important case law? So Joyce Sumati versus Robert Dixon Rudy, this is the case law which was seen in Andhra Pradesh. So the petitioner of this case was Robert Dixon Rudy, and he was a resident of Bahrain. He was not an Indian. And Joyce Sumati, in fact, was an Indian, and she resided in India, and she married Robert. And after marriage, they both resided in Bahrain. So after several years of marriage, they had a happy married life. But after that, for some various reasons, she was deserted for a period of 3 years by her husband, Robert. So she filed a petition for divorce, saying that she was harassed and deserted, and she wanted a divorce from him. So she approached one of the lower court. So in one of the lower court, the learned chief judge overlooked this aspect, and he told that the petition cannot be taken. That is, the petition for divorce was dismissed just because their marriage was not registered. But later, when she approached the higher court, the judgment given by them was that Section 18 of this act, that is the Foreign Marriage Act, which is same as that of the Special Marriage Act also, it explains to you the matrimonial reliefs. So this matrimonial reliefs, who are entitled to this is not only those whose marriage is solemnized or registered. The mere fact that Joyce Sumati was an Indian and she was married to a foreigner is itself enough for her to file for divorce. So later, the divorce case was accepted. So conclusion, so I would like to ask you guys the question that what is one of the drawback you saw from this particular act, from the Foreign Marriage Act? I've already told it in the previous slide. What do you think is a major drawback of this? So regarding the penalties, yes, it is that the act has everything for the welfare of the woman and also for the welfare of both the parties. But the one major drawback is that the penalties is only for Indians. If a foreigner is responsible, or if he has committed a crime, if he has deserted the wife, or he has harassed her, he is not tried in the Indian court, which is one of the main drawback. So this act has many flaws. One main drawback is regarding penalties. But however, the Foreign Marriage Act has played a very significant role in reducing the conflict of validity of marriage based on foreign country. This act has undoubtedly provided a good platform for legitimate recognition of marriage as per the Indian laws. It reduced the flaws regarding marriages of nation by providing an exclusive points only for such marriages. The best distinctive factor is that this act covers the conditions irrespective of religion. The positive aspect is that Ministry of External Affairs has taken keen interest and guided women from the complication arising from such marriage. Despite such legal policies, this is a piece of legislation appreciated for giving the people more rights and freedom. So what my suggestion is that, or what I came when I read through this act, what I feel is that mere bringing of a legislation will not bring change in the society. There are certain officers or certain authority who have to perform in a very committed manner. They have to be committed to their work. They have to be very much loyal to their work. It is the marriage officer, he plays a very pivotal role. It is up to him whether the marriage in future will be a success or will be a failure regarding the legalities. So it is up to him. He should not be corrupt. He should not fall for a small amount of money. Rather, he should take this as a matter of grave importance, that every legal aspect, every document should be checked properly by him. Only then I feel that we can reduce such fraudulent marriages. Thank you, sir.
So now the paper is open for discussion. So if any questions